Hello everyone and welcome to another Middlegame episode focusing on past pawns with Coach B from MasterChess.com. This is the fourth episode in this series, and in this video we're going to take a look at the ideal endgame positions you want to come out of the middle game to successfully and easily win the game. This first position is the most ideal position with the passed pawn. Here white has a passed pawn on the b file and he's totally winning, and it doesn't even matter who has the move. If it's white to move, a simple push on b5 will win immediately as black cannot get into the square of the pawn and white will simply promote. If it's black to move, white will still be winning as he's going to be able to reach a fox and a chicken type of position where he's going to be able to push the black king back and eventually let the passed pawn go to capture the pawns on the king side and easily winning the game. Adding a bishop into the game, you'll easily notice that these get a lot more complex, because the pawn on b4 is not going to move anywhere, and here white cannot make any progress without the help of the king. With knights in the game, the same is true. White will need to fight together with the king and knight to start marching the pawn, and these games are a lot more complex. Even with the mighty rook in the game, the passed pawn still can't move down the board on its own. With the queens on the other hand, the passed pawn can be put into motion without the help of the king. So here with white to move, the best move is queen to a3, making sure that if the queens are traded, the passed pawn will be as far away from the king as possible. From here, black can continue with king to f8, and now an excellent move, queen to a5. Here the best reply is to retreat the queen to b8. If black exchanges queens with queen takes a5, white will easily win this game. After b takes a5, the black king is not inside the square of the pawn, and he's not going to be able to catch the pawn from promoting. Coming back, queen to b8 is the best move, and now pawn to b5. And now the best response is king to e8, helping out the queen to prevent the pawn from promoting, as the queen alone will not be able to do that. After this, white will respond with pawn to b6. And now king to d8, and queen to a7. Here black cannot exchange queens, as white will simply promote. Coming back, moving the queen to e5 doesn't help either, because after b7, there's nothing that black can do to stop white from promoting that pawn. All he's got is maybe queen to b5, but after white promotes, white is slowly winning the game. So coming back, the best reply is king to c8. And now white cannot simply push the pawn to b7 even though it's check, because black can simply capture it as the queen is defended by the king, and then trading queens will simply end up into an equal game. But coming back, here white can simply let that pawn go and go gobble up the pawns on the king side. So best response is queen takes f7. After black takes on b6, queen takes g6. And now white is up 2 pawns with the winning game, especially that black cannot prevent white from capturing another pawn, the pawn on h6. There's nothing he can do to protect that pawn. So after something like king to e6, white will capture the pawn on h6, and now he's up 3 pawns. I'm just going to fast forward to the moves to see a possible continuation how white will win this game. Here, the black king cannot step on e6, as white will simply check him. After the king moves away, white will simply trade queens with the winning endgame. And if black tries something instead, let's say queen to a5, white can play h5, after pawn to f5, queen to g7 check, king to c6, queen to g6 check. Definitely black doesn't want to step on the 5th rank, so he's going to retreat to d7. White can simply capture the pawn on f5, and after the trade, white is up 4 pawns with the total winning endgame. And next, let's look at another similar position with queens on the board to see the power of a passed pawn. So in this position, white seems like he's totally losing. He's down 4 pawns, and if you actually analyze this with the computer, it will say that black is winning. However, with white to move here, white can get a draw. The correct move is moving the pawn to b5, fighting for the creation of a passed pawn. Now, if black captures the pawn with a takes b5, white will respond with queen to b6, challenging the queen to march forward the pawn. After something like queen to f3, pawn to a6. And now all that black's got is checking the king. King to g4 check, king to f1. King to c4 check, king to g1. Queen to c1 check, king to g2. And all that white needs to do is dance around h1, h2, g1, g2, f1, and f2 with the king until a threefold repetition is reached. If white is given a free move, he will push the pawn to a7. And black cannot take that risk, and he's going to have to accept the draw. Coming back, after b5, if here black doesn't take the pawn, Let's say he plays something like queen to e4. Well, here, white can simply push the pawn to b6, after something like king to g7, queen to c8, and a similar position has been reached, while all that black has is attacking the king, but eventually a threefold repetition is going to happen, and black needs to accept a draw. And that concludes the lesson for today. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next lesson. So as we've seen in this lesson, the best endgames you can reach with the passed pawn are king and pawn endgames or queen versus queen endgames. As we've seen in the previous video in the series, a simple recapture in the middle game can give you the opportunity to create a passed pawn. After achieving that, you should try to trade minors and rooks in the middle game, shooting for a queen versus queen endgame or a king and pawn endgames, as that will increase your chances of winning. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next lesson.